Hi beautifuls, welcome back. We are here to dive into 2021 and the astrology and all your must knows. Now, if you haven't sub. If you do want to follow me and you feel this content relates to you individually, please write in the comment section how it does. I love to hear your feedback. Now, we're moving away from a very interesting 2020 and into a very unique 2021 that for a lot of us collectively hasn't happened on this planet before. And we are entering the air signs. We had both Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius. So it is very much that Aquarian age themes coming through. So we're going to tune into this week up until the 8th. What will be coming up for you, what the planets are doing, and how they're going to affect you. Now this month we do have Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct on the 1st. We also have Mars transiting out of Aries and into Taurus, and that's occurring on the 7th. Venus is also transiting into Capricorn on the 8th, and we also, towards the end of the month, will have a Mercury retrograde. We also this year have 3 squaring aspects Saturn is making, which are quite major aspects of this year's astrology. The dates that that's occurring is going to be February the 17th, June the 14th, and December the 24th. Now we'll get deep into your astrology and tell you how this week up until the 8th is going to affect your zodiac sign. Okay, Virgo, let's have a look at your weekly forecast for January 2021 between the 1st and the 6th. And I may make reference to last month, as well as I may integrate some information that can help you for this month prior to, outside of these dates, rather. Now, at the beginning of the month, we are having the energy of the full moon that we had in the previous month still playing out in themes. And we can be completing those cycles, coming to terms with things relating to those cycles. And that placement was Cancer in your 11th house. So, you know, the zodiac sign Cancer can be emotions, feelings, tribe mentality. It can be to do with feminine energies as well, and your emotions inside it. But 11th house placement can be hopes, dreams, aspirations. It can also link to your friendship groups and your social circle. So, you know, if those things have changed, you know, having faith in that this is a brand new beginning for you moving forward through 2021, and you will get beautiful aspects. Now, you do have a very unique placement which will assist you to transform some of these areas. And I'm really seeing with the eclipses that we had last month, because the last month eclipses are going to play out this year. They're going to be moving forward, some quite abruptly, some very subtly, with both your 4th and your 10th house placement. Now, Sagittarius in the 4th for you may have been home-related dynamics. And with the Gemini eclipse, it will relate to your career sector and the work you do, especially in your day-to-day routine via technology, where you're working from, your daily routine. It's very Mercury in energy, but looking at different ways you can implement career sectors. And for those of you that are unemployed, this is deeply highlighted for 2.5 years for you. And when we say karma, lessons will come from the North Node, and the growth in that area will occur, and we're really guided to focus on that. Now, for you individually, it could be that you are currently working from home. You're turning a home environment into a working environment. For others, it can be leaving that domain and, you know, sharing obligations. 4th house can be quite testing, but it's usually where you've developed a lot of the understanding, you know, becoming organized. You're a Virgo in nature, so it's innately in your disposition. But also with Aquarius being in the 6th house, it's about also, as much as we can empathically understand situations, 6th house placement is the house of hidden enemies. But it's where we will learn a great deal about ourselves, with healthy boundaries, with wanting to be a king or a queen in our own domain. It can relate to health, well-being, work ethic, either you or another person, you know, being our own worst enemy, or other people maybe empathically understanding their position, but potentially not placing ourselves in that equation. And I used the analogy in the previous video where I did Capricorns. And it was the notion that we can only help others if we can help ourselves. And it's almost like, you know, in circumstances with both Saturn and Jupiter being in Aquarius, it is a fine line. Saturn wants us to be responsible. Jupiter wants us to expand and rebel up against that. So adjusting to that in the first week, although it did transit last month, and we had the conjunction point on the 21st, anything in a sense of the 6th house might have been a bit testing on your zodiac sign, but you will adjust to it and you will develop this over the next year. So with the 6th house placement, if you're finding that, you know, you're empathically understanding, and then you've got the 4th house placement of Sagittarius, it can be home-related dynamics, family-related dynamics, your daily patterns, your movement, you know, trying to get those things done. You being a Virgo are able to do that, but also you can tend to, what would the word be? You have orientation to being able to do a lot, and that's because you're the quality system of the zodiac. But sometimes that can burden you. So do be super cautious, especially this year, of not doing everyone's job, because with the 6th house placement, it can be the house of the undoing. Hidden enemies, us being our own worst enemies. Suddenly we've got 100 things on our plate. It's then directly affecting our health. So we do need to navigate and have that self-mastery, where even if we're taking the time to correct that 4th house placement, to take the pressure off us and maybe sharing burdens and responsibilities, it can effectively help with your growth sector. Now, I really do see, because we have the Aquarian energy, your social group and surroundings is set to really kick off. And if you were to launch a business or anything to that degree that you're directly working on, you can see growth in that area. But there can be a heck of a lot more responsibilities in that domain. And again, as I mentioned, making sure you're reading the fine print. More so if you are wanting to do anything documentation, because we do have Mercury in Capricorn, it can be to do with your creative projects or children, romance, having that open communication there. But I do see you taking a great deal of accountability because you have the 5th house placement with Mercury in Capricorn, and that can be some old energy playing out prior to mid last year and even towards 2019, because we had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. So both with your 5th house placement being Capricorn, which will be playing out, and you'll be able to turn over a new leaf by the 13th of January. We will be having a new moon in Capricorn, tying up these loose ends relating to your creative projects, taking responsibility, children, romance, even launching situations is going to really benefit you. Now, if health has been a point of contention, you will find that in this year, you do need to pay close attention to that, because diet, health, and things to that degree can be coming up. Now, Jupiter tends to expand things. So if there is something hidden to you, from an astrological point of view, it will be shown to you. Also, because we did have Mars retrograde in Aries and Chiron retrograde last year, inflammation, you know, and sluggishness was really there. So we still will be recouping much into the first week of January, although it may be quite fast paced that we have to get quite a lot done in a very short space of time, especially prior to Mercury going retrograde by the end of the month. We'll feel that shadow cycle occurring. So by leveling up and taking the bull by the horns and sharing these circumstances and tackling these issues, you can get the ball moving in that area to be on stable ground. Now, Mars has been in your 8th house placement, and you may find that as it shifts, all that hard work that you put into marriages, contracts, partnerships, of trying to build your net worth and joining assets together, it's actually has been really developed in that house for quite a while. Now, Mars is going to be moving out of that domain, and it is going to be moving towards your 9th house placement. So this can be where you're upskilling, networking, dealing with people, external. Your belief systems can be transforming. And we're going to have both Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct at the beginning of the month. So your nerves relating to belief systems can come up. Also, from a financial point of view, there can be movement happening in that domain too. Now, if there had been tension with joint resources during that transit with Uranus and Taurus retrograde, as it goes stationary direct, you know, you can start seeing a lot of the results. And really with Uranus going direct, you can get the yin and yang, and it does happen quite suddenly. So although it's going to be stationary direct, you can actually have some of these things playing out, linking to the 9th house, which I'll discuss in a moment, happening very quickly and maybe even prior to the 1st of January. I'm seeing that there could be potentially for those of you in work, in contracts, in partnerships, in marriages, where you had been working on the 8th house, you know, with your shared resources, your deeper intimacy inside of those connections, growing those situations together, however it relate, and attracting those vibrations into your life as a requirement. What you will find is, because we do have Mars and Uranus making squaring aspects, there can be tension point. So with Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct inside of your 9th house, there may be disputes coming up. And look, Sagittarius can relate to siblings. This can be yours, partner's side, inside of co-workers and situations to that degree. But it can also be just your spiritual value systems and what you've learned, and maybe differing views linking to that when it does come to what you're going to do with those subject matters. But it will ease up, and you will have growth connected to your 9th house. The 9th house, it's connected to religion, education, foreign countries, travel and purpose. And to balance it, you always do need to use the 3rd house placement, which is communication, which ironically happens to be Gemini. So for you, this can be the work that you put into things. It can be your direct employment, the processes you take, being a Virgo, your, you know, your quality systems and things to that degree. But I do see that shifting and changing, and you will be able to generate things. So although it's healthy that Mars was in your 8th house, it could have caused tension. And now after that transit, when Mars transits on the 7th into Taurus, which is the 9th house, you'll see the physical movement there. So in a career sector, for instance, this for you can be where you are developing ways to market things. This can be via IT, internet, it can be your upskilling and implementing the upskilling that you've achieved and doing things outside the box. Now, when it does connect to family, because the 9th house can be belief systems again, it can be schooling and education, it can be advertising and growth in that sector being Jupiter. So balancing it between the 6th house placement and the 9th house placement, you can bring that together, but there can be a tension point moving through this first week of January due to the fact that Mars is intensifying in degree points and it will become inflamed. Also, you'll find as Uranus and Taurus go stationary direct, it can affect our nervous system. So, you know, bear that in mind. Any health related dynamics you feel you need to check, go and get them checked. From a holistic point of view, I will talk about it a little bit further into the video about how to anchor that energy in and see things differently. Okay, so on the first day of the month, we're having the moon transit Leo. And although those Cancerian themes from the full moon in Cancer will still be playing out, your emotions will be on your psychology, your belief systems, what's hidden from you, your thoughts and emotions. Now, romance and communication can be very beneficial, and they can be a point of both thought and communication. And you will find that both inside your marriages, contract, partnerships, on this day, the first day of the month, this can be very positive. Also, because you do have the moon transiting Leo, pay attention to your psychology surrounding these things. What's coming up for you? You may have some light bulb moments, but I do feel you have a very firm position. We do need to be careful that emotions don't go into ego, because although it's moon energy and it's Leo, it can be your thought processes with Mercury as well. So you've got Mercury, which is 3rd house, it's thoughts and communication. You've got Leo, which is an intuition, again, very, and it can be both good and bad, but it's inside the moon, so it's emotionally spoken. Be careful of your emotions between the 1st and the 2nd. But also hold them as valuable. So I'm not saying forget your emotions, hold your cool, don't say anything, and tolerate it, especially because you have Mercury in Aquarius by the 30th, hitting your 6th house placement, and we do have both Saturn and Jupiter in your 6th, so you do need to create those healthy boundaries with yourself, to speak for yourself, to feel for yourself, and to tap into your belief systems inside of these things and feel valued inside of connections. But we also can't be in our ego to the point that we are being over firm, and it's to do with the point that we haven't psychologically dealt with. But you could be stuck to a degree, you know, thinking, am I seeing something straight? Now, between the 3rd and the 4th, the moon is transiting Virgo, which happens to be your 1st house placement. And you could be emotionally really checking into where you're at. You could be assessing yourself and maybe even being critical towards yourself. And please sit with that. If you feel that there's something you want to change, I do think you might be emotionally tapping into it. If you are feeling that, again, I really do feel it's very personal. It's the way people see you. And the way you see yourself, and that can be transforming, but you could be viewing it at the moment and really trying to nut out what's going on the 3D view. You also could feel quite burdened because we do have Mercury in Capricorn, and you know, with that, especially on the 4th, Mercury in Capricorn is making a conjunction point to Pluto in Capricorn, and something to do with your creative endeavors, luxuries even. And this can make two conversational pieces. It can be a point of thought, and so it's third eye of thought and cognitive abilities, and it's throat chakra. So this can be a few things. One, it could be your emotions getting the better of you, and 5th house placement is luxury. So, you know, for my zodiac sign, mid-year, Jupiter is transiting back into Pisces. For you, let me have a quick look. Where's Pisces going to land for you? It's going to be your 7th house placement. So you can have growth and expansion inside of your marriages, contracts, partnerships by mid-year. But nevertheless, you will have these subjects playing out, and they're still going to be healthy because of the fact that we do currently have Neptune and Pisces direct. When it goes retrograde, we reflect upon those things and transform them. There can be shake-ups in that area. So the one thing I am seeing is you're trying to bring something to an end. This could be you know, overindulging. It could be trying to tie up creative endeavors, bringing things to the forefront. It can be transforming, looking at the stability inside of our, you know, protecting our children, our thought processes, communication. It can be inside of our relationships, really casing it and, you know, talking about these hard things, about the bigger picture of what we need to let go of and where we're going. But at a personal level, this can also be with both the 5th house and the 6th house, our health, our diet, our stress levels, and getting those things in order. And after Christmas and New Year's, that's totally possible because we do tend to move into the year making all these New Year's resolutions, but it is really amplified from the 6th house placement, so pay attention. Now, from the 5th and the 6th, we have the moon transiting Libra. Now, for your zodiac sign in particular, self-esteem, balance, your net worth value, and self-worth value can be coming up. Looking at it, trying to get balance and doing what you can to make these things happen. And again, because we still will have Mercury in Capricorn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, pulling those things and completing them and tying those loose ends up, be it, you know, it's to do with your diet, your health, conversations with romantic partners, changing things around at a financial level. These things can come out of nowhere, and it can be between the 4th and the 5th. Something coming to your mindset, something actually ending completely. And it can even be if you've been waiting on information, documents, and movement relating to both the 5th and the 6th house. These things can be coming through at this time. Try and be very patient on the 6th, and although you're trying to create balance, you might be looking at what you have, assessing from a very balanced standpoint, or trying to find that emotional balance with all things. I do feel because Mars is transiting out of Aries and towards Taurus in your 9th house, When it does come to your money and things to that degree, it can be a very important day. It can be a point of tension. It's potentially going to be at the 29-degree point by this point, and it's well and truly beyond the critical degree. So there could be heated subjects relating to these areas, or you could get major bonuses linking to your finances and your shared resources and see some real leeway moving forward. But the pressure cooker could potentially be there. So be careful of overextending yourself, but I think most of you will be fine. It can just be the emotions and the tension and having to work very hard to make that dollar go further. Mars in Taurus will be there till March 3rd, and then it will enter Gemini again, which is linking to your career sector. And by March, so any little steps you're taking now, March is where you're going to have a lot of energy in your career sector. So if you can get all your ducks in a row, especially some of these themes would have been playing out the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January, getting all your ducks in a row so you can move the ship forward prior to Mercury retrograde, which will get the shadow period by mid-month. So we really want to make sure any paperwork, any documentation, anything we're needing to complete, we do that well and truly prior. You may also get information relating to foreign countries and overseas, linking to both the 8th and the 9th house. And if that was tying up, be it was a will, a legacy, an inheritance, or you were trying to save for a particular item, you may find this is the completion and the formation of this energy. And it has felt like an uphill push. So on the 6th, we're having Neptune in Pisces squaring the nodes, and this is difficulties between your connections and your work, trying to balance it. Try and find unique ways. Don't quit on the situation, because Gemini is in your 10th house placement. As I said, keep going. Try not to quit before everything is kind of moving. Understand it's just but a day. It will alleviate. Okay, so we now move to the 8th. So both the 7th and the 8th, we have moon energy of Scorpio. And I feel you might be, look, you could energetically be communicating quite a bit. Talking about your feelings, talking about your deepest fears, your desires, wanting that deeper support in situations. But you also could be very protective of yourself and be communicating from an emotional standpoint. So try and be careful with that. When it does come to the 8th, we have Venus entering Capricorn. So with Venus, when it does come to your marriages, contracts, partnerships, you will be able to give more to those areas and be able to take the accountability. But it can bring two things. If you felt it quite burdensome, again, conversations can come up. But creative projects, having some luxury time, spending quality time together, and you being able to do these things inside of your own energy can be a potential and a possibility. But between the 5th and the 6th house, we do need to be careful, because we also have Mercury entering Aquarius. So those social outings, both from a financial level and a consumption level, can be causing friction. So be careful of your emotions, be careful of your health and diet when it does come to Mercury entering Aquarius, because again, it's throat chakra, very similar to the 2nd and the 3rd house. You can tend to find that our emotions are being spoken. We do need to be careful what we say. It's almost like we can bring ourselves undone with certain things. So really sit with it, think on it. Use the traffic light analogy. You might get intense about things. You might have a very firm viewpoint. And it can be other people as well, where you find that there's this push-pull. But with you, maybe dealing with a lot of people. So Mercury entering Aquarius, it could be a very, very busy week. It could also really intensify as we move into the following week. Plus, we also have both Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So point blank zero, you will find your social energies are going to be extremely busy. Try to not let it run you down. Try and not overextend yourself. Take the accountability, when it does relate to your marriages, contract, partnerships, but try not to over-offer, under-deliver, so to speak, and burn out. Now, when it does come to projects, education, upskilling, networking, work, all of those things can really benefit, but you can find points to do with a reputation coming up, and this can be past tense situations, fear-based frequency relating to it. relating to your contracts, relating to trusting people that they will do the right thing by you. So there can be a tension point when it does come to the bigger picture versus information that comes in. There can also be information coming in relation to your health and the finances that are required with it, and maybe your faith in these situations, but just sit with it, because as it moves, it will clear. But again, communication coming in, your daily routine, trying to get everything done can be pretty testing. Okay, let's get into the must-knows for Virgo. Must-knows would definitely be throat chakra, and that is due to any triggers that can come up. So it can be triggers and consumption, and then the lower chakras, and I would say the yellow chakra. So with that, it's inner child wounds. It can be co-creative energy. So both the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, they can be very, very activated. And with your vibration as well. So get into earth-based frequency, especially from the beginning of the month. You can do guided meditation. That can help with the neurology. There is guided meditation for that. From an astrology point of view, not from a medical point of view. Anything health related, please do actually go get it checked. And that's due to the fact that you have 6th house placement. But trust your intuition. You decipher between what you feel is correct for you and how it directly resonates. But you can find with the 6th house placement, and your busy schedule, healthy boundaries, getting things done, trying to be, you usually are very, very organized, but because we have Aquarius energy in your chart now, it can be where it's override of creative projects, socialization, friendships, people calling on you. Virgo's it. It's sort of like tag team. So be cautious of that. When it does come to your luxuries, be cautious of that, both on spending, both on indulging. But launching is perfect. So if you're wanting to launch anything in the first week to 2 weeks, make sure you get it done this week. Try and move through the energy. Okay, now for the first 2 days of the month, I do suggest crown chakra. So amethyst, clear quartz, drinking fluid, doing guided meditation, having time to actually think on these subjects. I also see base chakra relating to the Capricorn transit. So when it does come to your physical foundation, lower back related dynamics can be coming up, eating the red food groups, bloating. And that's during Mars retrograde and Aries and Chiron retrograde. We're kind of recouping from that now in January, where we're going to have a lot more energy to deal with these things, and it can become super busy. So keeping healthy, eating healthy is going to be very important in the first 6 months to prepare for Jupiter going retrograde by mid-year. I'm also seeing heart chakra activation for your zodiac sign, which again is really implementing green food groups, pink quartz, guided meditation for heart chakra, eating healthy, because we do have both the transit moving through Virgo and through Leo, which is heart chakra and high heart chakra, especially linking to Aries and Chiron, and inner child wound. So pay attention to those areas, and it should benefit you moving forward. Last but not least, pay attention to that Mars energy. So frustrations, maybe disputes, arguments, or really working hard in that 8th house placement of shared resources can be difficult. Keep moving through it. The best is yet to come. The tension point in that area, if you're relating to marriages, contracts, partnerships, and those shared resources, there can potentially be differing views. So be patient with it. Try and work through those things, discuss those things, negotiate well and truly prior to mid-month, and you should get the best out of this transit. Okay, beautiful Virgo, take care of yourself this week. I will see you during the week for all my live updates. If you do feel this content resonates, please sub if you haven't subbed. Comment in the comment box below. I read all of your comments. And if you do have any questions, feel free to drop me a question in the box directly below. I will respond back to you ASAP. Now, if you are wanting to join us for our twin flame updates, for our live sessions, for our super chat sessions, for the moon energy, you name it, we're doing it. We're doing a lot more this year. Come join the tribe. For those of you that have, thank you very much. I love you guys to bits. I will see you next week. Take care, Virgo.